Jennifer Lopez may have the glitz, the glamour, and the global fame, but behind the scenes, plenty of celebrities have made it clear they cannot stand her. From diva behavior to messy industry feuds, J.Lo has racked up more enemies than you might expect. Mariah Carey, one of the most famous celebrity feuds of all time, Mariah has never hidden her disdain for J.Lo. When asked about Lopez in the early 2000s interview, Carey simply responded with 3 infamous words: "I don't know her." Now that single line went viral and became pop culture history. Insiders claim Mariah's beef with Jennifer stems from industry drama back in the late 90s when their record labels clashed over music rights. There were even accusations that J.Lo's team used a sample intended for Mariah's album, sparking long-lasting resentment. To this day, Mariah doubles down on ignoring Jennifer's existence, and fans still debate whether J.Lo intentionally stepped on her toes. Rihanna, you might remember when Jennifer briefly dated Drake back in 2016. Well, that romance reportedly left Rihanna furious. Sources at the time claimed Rihanna felt betrayed since, she and J.Lo were on good terms before that little fling. Rihanna allegedly unfollowed Lopez on Instagram after seeing photos of her cuddled up with Drake, and the shade didn't stop there. Riri has never, but the cold shoulder spoke volumes. Fans noticed Rihanna avoiding questions about J.Lo ever since, which only fueled rumors that she completely cut her off. Leah Remini, yes, J.Lo's supposed best friend. Now, Leah has publicly defended Lopez countless times, but behind the curtain, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. Industry whispers claim that Leah has grown tired of J.Lo's diva demands and self-obsession. Even though they've, been spotted together for years, many fans speculate their friendship has cracks, especially after Leah started, carving her own path in Hollywood, separate from Lopez. Rumors of a falling out began in 2022 when Remini did not attend Jennifer's wedding to Ben Affleck. Remini and others clarified that she did miss the wedding to help move her daughter into college, not because of a conflict with Lopez, but fans, have never been convinced of that and think otherwise. Now, while Leah would never ever trash Jennifer openly, the rumors about tension between them have not gone away. Madonna, the queen of pop, doesn't hand out compliments easily, and when it comes to J.Lo, she's been especially blunt. Madonna has allegedly mocked Jennifer's music skills in private circles, dismissing her as a dancer who got lucky. Now, the two have been seen at the same events but rarely interact, which has only kept the feud rumors alive. With Madonna's legendary reputation and J.Lo's, determined rise, it's no surprise that sparks flew between them in an industry that thrives on rivalry. Lastly, we have Nicki Minaj. Now, this feud played out publicly on live television. During their time on American Idol, Jennifer and Nicki reportedly clashed non-stop. Nicki accused J.Lo of acting superior and cold, while Jennifer seemed unimpressed with Nicki's over-the-top personality. Now, at one point, Nicki even called Jennifer disrespectful behind the scenes. Their on-air tension became so obvious that tabloids ran endless stories about the feud, cementing them as two stars who will just simply never get along. When it comes to Hollywood drama, J.Lo seems to be right at the center of it.
Now, starting off, we have David Fincher. While Ben Affleck was filming the film Gone Girl, he got into an argument with director David Fincher over a hat. Yep, you heard me right, a hat. Ben is into his sports big time and he loves the Red Sox. Now, due to this, he got into a dispute with the director, which paused production. I said, "David, I love you, I would do anything for you, but I will not wear a Yankees hat. I just can't. I can't wear it because it's going to become a thing, David. I will never hear the end of it, I can't do it, and I couldn't put it on my head," Ben said. Now, you'd think this would have been an easy thing to resolve, but apparently not. The two butted heads for 4 whole days before they could reach a compromise, when they finally agreed that a Mets cap would suffice. Now, on the argument, David had this to say: "I really wanted it to be a Yankees cap, but being from Boston and not being very professional as an actor, Ben refused to wear a Yankees cap. I mean, it did not come to blows, but we had to shut down production for 4 days." Now we have Trey Parker and Matt Stone. South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone have been using Ben as a punching bag on their show for the last 20+ years. Now, they first took aim at the star in a season 5 episode in which his parents are 2 people diagnosed with torsonic polarity syndrome, an entirely made-up condition in which people's faces are replaced by butts. Now, 2 seasons later, a cartoon Ben was shown falling in love with the hand puppet that Cartman claims was the incarnation of Jennifer Lopez. Then, during Team America World Police, they couldn't resist throwing some shade in Ben's way. They did this with the song The End of an Act, which includes the lines, "I miss you more than Michael Bay missed the mark when he made Pearl Harbor. I need you like Ben Affleck needs acting school. He was terrible in that film." When asked about their apparent beef with Ben during a press junket for the latter, Matt said, "He's so ripe, you can have fun with it, I mean, look at him." Now we have Quentin Tarantino. Now Ben once again proved that he's just as talented behind the camera as in front of it when he made The Town. Now the crime thriller received rave reviews on its 2010 release, but Quentin Tarantino had other thoughts. In a candid chat about the state of the film industry with Vulture, Quentin argued that the actors in The Town were simply too beautiful to be believable. The crook is absolutely gorgeous, the bank teller is absolutely gorgeous, the FBI guy is absolutely gorgeous, the town tramp Blake Lively is absolutely gorgeous, Jeremy Renner is the least gorgeous guy, and he's pretty effing good looking. He then singled out Ben when comparing the movie to another 2010 release. If you look at The Fighter and you look at those sisters, they're just so magnificent. When you see David O. Russell cast those sisters and you see Ben Affleck cast Blake Lively, you can't compare those two movies. One just shows how phony the other one is. Now we have Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell has made it very clear that he does not like Ben. In 2005, for example, he brought up Ben during a smackdown of various celebrities, arguing to IGN that silver screen legend William Holden could kick Ben Affleck's butt any day of the week. Then in 2012, Bruce decided to take aim at the star's personal life, telling the same site, "Everyone thinks it's so glamorous that Ben Affleck is sleeping with all these different chicks. It's only because he can't keep a single relationship because he's working all the time and they're working all the time." Then 3 years later, Bruce was at it again and dreamt of inflicting physical pain in a conversation with the Los Angeles Times about the impending big screen battle in Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. When reminded that the Caped Crusader would be wearing special armor, he replied, "Well, he's gonna need it, he's fighting Superman. His face is exposed, punch Ben Affleck in the face, you're done, walk away, what's for lunch?" Now we have Edward James Olmos. Now the film Argo put Ben's career back on the map, famously winning Best Picture at the Academy Awards after having already grossed an impressive $232 million at the box office. Historical drama set during the Iran hostage crisis. Now, Edward James Olmos didn't have too many positive feelings about the film. In an interview with Deadline, the actor essentially accused Ben of whitewashing the true story involving a fellow Mexican American. "He should have never played Tony Mendez," Edward remarked, referring to the real-life CIA agent who helped rescue 6 hostages under the guise of shooting a sci-fi flick. Ben said, "Well, they wouldn't have made the movie if I wasn't playing the role. BS, he was directing it," he wrote. Tony Mendez was a Mexican American born and raised in El Paso, Texas. Now, 99% of the people don't even know that. But hey, I gotta say, I agree with him here. Now we have Donatella Versace. Donatella Versace has maintained a friendship with Jennifer Lopez since her brother Gianni Versace passed away in the late 1990s. So after Ben's first breakup with Jennifer, Donatella criticized him. In 2004, she gave something of a backhanded compliment to Ben, as according to Fashion United, she said, "He's a gorgeous man, but he should have more attitude, be more dangerous. American men groom way too much. The haircut is always perfect." Now of course, Versace, who also described Brad Pitt as too polished in the same interview, might now feel slightly awkward. Well, after multiple marriages and divorces, J.Lo ended up getting back together with Ben in 2021, and a year later they became husband and wife. Now we have Evan Rachel Wood. In 1998, Ben allegedly told Kevin Smith, "A man kissing another man is the greatest acting challenge an actor can ever face." Now, although these comments weren't made public at the time, they were relayed by the director at the Los Angeles LGBTI Festival more than 2 decades later. Now, unsurprisingly, Ben received quite a bit of flack for his comment, which he allegedly made after he had to kiss his co-star Jason Lee for the romantic comedy Chasing Amy. One person who called him out for this was Evan Rachel Wood. In a since deleted tweet, she wrote, "Grow up, Ben." And when a follower pointed out that Ben's comments were made 20 years ago, she responded, "I'm sure he just thought it was a funny, but even jokes like that are damaging. Also, you think us ladies like kissing all the guys we kiss? Just cause it's a straight kiss doesn't mean we enjoy it. Now, good for her for calling him out. In 2021, Ben spoke candidly about his and Jennifer Garner's marriage breakdown in an interview on The Howard Stern Show. Ben admitted that he only started relying on alcohol as he felt trapped in the relationship. But while the host nodded along in sympathy, Piers Morgan decided to unleash some rage against a different celebrity in his regular column for the Daily Mail. Now, the disgraced former newspaper editor wrote, "So what the hell was Ben Affleck thinking when he sat down with Howard Stern and decided to humiliate Jennifer Garner in the unkindest possible manner?" He added, "He wasn't honest with Howard Stern or truly accountable, nor did he take the chance to apologize to his ex-wife for all the pain he caused her with his constant selfish boozing. Instead, Ben Affleck did what he's done throughout his life. He blamed someone else for his own behavior. And blaming Jennifer Garner, he ensured their kids will not read lurid headlines that suggest this may have been the real reason why he was such a stinking deadbeat drunken husband and father for so long. The truth is, Affleck had a massive drink problem before he met their mom, while he was with her, and after he left her." Moving on to Chrissy Teigen. Now, in 2021, Ben went viral for all the wrong reasons when a dating app video of his was leaked online. The drama began when Naveen J unmatched Ben on Raya, a celebrity dating app, believing that he was a catfish. But then Ben took it upon himself to send his potential date a clip confirming his identity. While some interpreted this as a rather romantic act, others felt it was slightly unhinged, and Chrissy Teigen fell in the latter category. But she also didn't let Jay off the hook either. Chrissy took to Twitter to write, "I agree celebs shouldn't be making these creepy desperate video relies on Raya, but it's tacky to release private messages. You both wrong, congrats." Now, Jay later defended both herself and Affleck, telling E! News, "I'm seeing a lot of comments calling him a creep, and I don't think that's fair. I wasn't making fun of him in the video, I was making fun of myself for thinking he was a catfish, and it was just supposed to be funny." And finally, we have Olivia Munn. In the past, Olivia Munn took aim at Ben for allegedly burying his head in the sand over the conduct of some now disgraced producers in Hollywood. In an interview with BuzzFeed News' morning show, AM2DM, Olivia also called out Ben for his apparent complicity. "When most people mess up, we have to go to the back of the line and earn our way back up," Olivia said, before adding, "But then there are these certain men who, when they mess up, they kinda go, oops, sorry, my bad, and just resume their place in line." Now, Olivia named two of the men she was specifically referring to, saying there are going to be people that are hoping they can just push past it and people can just forget. We have stuff with the Afflecks, both of them. They just kept going, hoping that no one is going to find out. Now, the other Affleck that she was referring to was, of course, Casey Affleck, Ben's brother, but good on her for calling them out.
Starting off our list today, at number 10, we have Tom Holland. If Tom Holland dislikes Gwyneth Paltrow, she's blissfully unaware of it, because the Goop founder has no idea who the Spider-Man actor is, despite the fact that they both worked on Avenger films and Spider-Man Homecoming together. Not to mention, Tom Holland has also become one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Nonetheless, in a trivia segment for Pop Sugar, Tom admitted that it breaks his heart to hear that Gwyneth, who plays Pepper Potts, didn't remember Spider-Man Homecoming at all. In fact, she apparently didn't even bother learning Tom's name. Though she did take a photo of him on the set of Avengers Endgame, Tom would then make a comment of the photo by saying, "She was in a blue shirt and I was in a Spider-Man suit. She came up, asked for a photo of me and Rob, and then I think she posted it and said Robert Downey Jr. and myself and this guy. I was just the guy." And indeed, if you head to her page, her caption did merely describe the British actor as the other guy in the photo. Well, at least she did not pretend to remember. Number 9. Jennifer Lopez. In today's world, it seems like Jennifer Lopez and Gwyneth Paltrow have a lot more in common than they realize. With both being multi-millionaires, they also both have very clean diets, not to mention, they even both dated Ben Affleck. So it's easy to forget that the pair come from two entirely different worlds, as J-Lo is reportedly worth 4 times more than Gwyneth. And she even had to claw her way out of a Bronx bedroom that she shared with her 2 siblings, and against all odds, she somehow made it to Hollywood. Gwyneth, on the other hand, was born into fame in Hollywood, as her father was a prominent director and her mother a Tony Award-winning star. So it kind of makes a lot of sense when it comes to the theory that these two just don't get along, particularly because decades ago their divide was even greater. In 2018, a 21-year-old movie line interview with Jennifer would go viral, and let's just say in the video, Jenny from the block didn't sugarcoat her feelings about Gwyneth when she said, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in." Some people got hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Angelina Jolie. At this rate, it seems like every powerful woman in Hollywood just has really strong feelings when it comes to Gwyneth's personality or work ethic. And it's also really clear to say that Angelina and Gwyneth aren't exactly the best of buddies. But considering both dated Brad Pitt at one point, it's not really that surprising. Back in 2015, Gwyneth really ruffled Angelina's feathers after she enraged mothers everywhere when she suggested that the mother who works 9 to 5 jobs have it easier than she does as a working actress. When she told Entertainment Tonight, "It's much harder for me," but she actually didn't have to become an actress. Just remember, she chose this career path for herself. Angelina, of course, had some pretty harsh words for the actress, as she would later tell the same media outlet, "I'm not a single mom with 2 jobs trying to get by every day. I'm in a rare position where I don't have to do job after job." And it's clear that her remarks were in direct contrast to Gwyneth's out-of-touch statement. Number 7. Jessica Alba. As lifestyle gurus, you would think that Jessica Alba, who runs The Honest Company, and Miss Goop herself would get along, as they should be besties who love to trade candles and non-toxic household products. However, apparently that's just not the case. According to OK USA, things were in fact very toxic on the set of their TV series Planet of the Apps, as inside sources would claim that the two just couldn't really stand each other. The insider would then tell media outlets that the feud between both women was a lot like oil and water, to the point it was shocking that they even agreed to do the show together in the first place. While Gwyneth may have the monopoly on the celebrity-owned lifestyle website front, it's clear that Jessica is no slacker when it comes to her own national brand of wellness products. As the CEO of The Honest Company, the actress's brand is for every woman. And this is a statement that Gwyneth is just not too keen on. According to the New York Daily News, Gwyneth isn't happy about the comparisons between her business Goop and Jessica's The Honest Company, as she believes Jessica is a hypocrite because she is rich but blogs for poor people, where Gwyneth, on the other hand, is blogging about things she loves, no matter what it costs, like that $125K set of gold dumbbells she once bragged about. Number 6. Reese Witherspoon. When Reese Witherspoon doesn't like someone, she really makes her feelings clear. And while Reese may have made an appearance at Gwyneth's engagement party back in April of 2018, things weren't always so warm and fuzzy between the two blonde Oscar winners, as they actually seemed to keep their friendship close, but their enemies closer, and that's the type of relationship they have. In an interview with People magazine, Gwyneth once insisted that despite having a lifestyle like Reese, Strapper James, there was generally no competitive spirit between them. However, things were once different, as Gwyneth was once even quoted making a comment about Reese with The Guardian, when she said, "Even with actresses that you really admire, like Reese Witherspoon, you think another romantic comedy. You see in her something like Walk the Line and think, God, you're so great. And then you think, why is she doing these stupid romantic comedies? But of course, it's for money and status." Number 5. Kate Moss. Once upon a time, Kate Moss and Gwyneth were actually pretty tight, the best of best friends, while they were swapping clothes from their luxurious closets. But jump forward to 2012, and the relationship between Gwyneth and model Kate Moss has definitely soured, as the two can't even stand to be in the same room as each other. Back in March of 2012, before a birthday party for Sir Philip Green in Mexico, the clean living actress decided to go for a run before things got a little too crazy. The Sun would then report that Kate even asked Gwyneth why she was running, to which the Oscar winner spat back, "So I don't look like you when I get old," which honestly really isn't an insult if you think about it, as Kate looks fabulous, and I honestly hope I look like her when I reach her age. The model then let loose some of her steam and threw a bag of chips at Gwyneth and told her to eat some carbs. Who? Number 4, Winona Ryder. So back in the 90s, Winona Ryder and Gwyneth Paltrow were considered to be two of Hollywood's hottest it girls. And before they even made it big, they actually were the bestest of friends, and they even shared a little apartment together. Unfortunately, apparently you can't stay best friends for the rest of your life, as it was their professional goals that tore their former friendship apart. On Gwyneth's website in 2009, she would write about an unnamed frenemy who was rumored to be Winona. In this article, she would then state that this frenemy was venomous, dangerous, and hell-bent on taking her down. The bad blood between the two former friends apparently began when Gwyneth spotted the script Shakespeare in Love among her friends and called her agent to get her a role. Gwyneth then went on to steal the role from Winona and the Oscar that went with it. And this is why, if you work in the same business as your friends, you never tell them what you're getting up to or what you're working on. Coming in number 3, we have Madonna. So like Winona Ryder and Kate Moss, Madonna and Gwyneth actually used to be really close friends. But if you haven't really caught on to the pattern yet, it's clear that times haven't changed. As once these two ladies were bonding over everything from Britain and a love of music. But once Madonna's marriage fell through the cracks, Gwyneth abandoned her old friend. In fact, the fallout between the two actually didn't happen until the Material Girl decided to drop Gwyneth's best friend forever, Tracy Anderson, as her trainer. Combined with a lack of shared interests, friendship fizzled out, leading to Madonna being banned from Gwyneth's inner circle. To the point even Gwyneth would say, yeah, it's good Tracy doesn't train Madonna anymore. She keeps people waiting and it takes up your whole day. Number 2, Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan is another actor that has been cast away from Gwyneth's memory, as like she did with Tom Holland. She has no idea who he is despite working together in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Perhaps it's because of all the brain dust moon juice from her Goop products that is really affecting her head. The Captain American sidekick is having none of it. The actor who plays Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, called out Gwyneth after he had to make her acquaintance again during Paris Fashion Week, when he claimed that they have worked together more than once. Sebastian would then take a photo with Gwyneth, where he would later post to his Instagram and say, "Glad I got to reintroduce myself to Gwyneth Paltrow for the 3rd time. They're in the same film." What made Sebastian post even more shocking is that he even tagged her in it. While their characters don't really interact a lot during the film, at least he did have the respect to call her out and do it to her face. But maybe a 4th reintroduction will be the charm, as Sebastian even wants to go there. And coming in number 1 today, we have Martha Stewart. So much like the feud we saw erupt between Kanye West and Taylor Swift, Martha Stewart and Gwyneth Paltrow have been kicking it for what it feels like an eternity, or at least 7 Martha Stewart white sails. The feud can date back all the way to 2013, but since then it has escalated into a full-fledged war between the two houses. Back when it all began, Martha told Porter magazine that Gwyneth just needs to be quiet. She's a movie star. If she were confident in her acting, she wouldn't be trying to be the next Martha Stewart. That same year, Martha would then take a swipe at Gwyneth's conscious uncoupling from her ex-husband, Chris Martin. And if the wounds from their divorce weren't deep enough, Gwyneth followed it with a Goop recipe for a jailbird cake to take a swipe at Martha, as you know she is an ex-con. And the feud between the two lifestyle gurus certainly hasn't been watered down, as back in September 2017, Martha pulled a total Mariah Carey move on Watch What Happens Live when she joked, "Who's Goop?" And on the same show in early 2020, she dismissed Paltrow's Coochie Candle customers as just guys who were lonely and in the mood, and now we're all waiting for Gwyneth to make the next move. At number 10, we have David Letterman. When Madonna appeared on the Late Night Show with David in 1994, the star was so obnoxious she showed that she had a lack of sensitivity for intelligence throughout the show. Madonna would go on to say the F word around 14 times. The star's language and overall behavior even resulted to the point where she had to be asked to even leave the stage. However, instead of leaving, she would then give David a pair of her undergarments, and then she would refuse to leave the stage. The star then would later claim that her disastrous behavior and appearance was a way of her protesting against television censorship. I can definitely understand why David was so uncomfortable with the situation, and I don't blame him for never wanting to work with the pop star again. At number 9, we have Mark Wahlberg. Madonna almost once cost Mark his breakthrough role. In the early 90s, 90s, Mark was just coming off of his rap career and he started to pursue a career in film. However, before getting his breakthrough role in the film Renaissance Man, Mark ran into some trouble when he got into an altercation with people who were very well connected to Madonna. When the altercation broke out, Mark noted that Madonna would go on to call the cops, and she continued to tell everybody stories about the event and what Mark was doing. Now, Mark claimed Madonna's claims were not true, and luckily Mark's film producer, Penny Marshall, would continue to support him. Mark explained when he got the call from the producer asking what he did, and how she ultimately decided to give him the role despite the rumors. I mean, sometimes it's better just to keep yourself out of other celebrities' feuds, but this pop icon is never shy to stick her nose into somewhere she shouldn't be sticking it. So it makes sense why Mark would want to stay as far away from Madonna as possible. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Elton John. In 2002, when Madonna released her song Die Another Day, it ultimately became the theme song for the James Bond movie. However, Elton John would later come out to say it was the worst theme song for a Bond movie, and that was just the beginning to their brawl, as this feud was destined to go on for years. Now, Elton would add fuel to the fire by criticizing Madonna for being nominated Best Live Act. Elton would go on to say that Madonna lip syncs in public shows and anybody who doesn't perform live should just be punished. And Elton wouldn't stop there. He once took things further in an interview with Channel 7 Australia when he said Madonna's tour was a complete disaster, and that after he watched it, he even questioned the stars' common sense. The stars would later end their feud, and Elton's partner would come out to say that they didn't believe in bringing negativity into the world and that they were both embarrassed about everything they ever said about Madonna. At number 7, we have Lady Gaga. So the feud between Lady Gaga and Madonna started back in 2011 when Gaga released Born This Way. Now, Madonna immediately drew comparisons from her song Express Yourself. In an interview with ABC News, Madonna would go on to say that Gaga referenced her a lot in her work and she found it amusing and flattering. Lady Gaga, however, would come out to say, if you put the songs next to each other side by side, the only similarities are the chord progression. It's the same one that's been used in disco music for the last 50 years. The star then went on to say just because she's the first artist in 25 years to put it in the top 40 radio doesn't mean she's a plagiarist. Now, these two pop divas are definitely iconic in their own ways, but whose team are you on? Team Madonna or Team Lady Gaga? Personally, I'm more of a Lady Gaga fan myself. At number 6, we have Janet Jackson. Now, Janet and Madonna are both major celebrities that haven't always said nice things about each other. Janet's and Madonna's beef allegedly all started when Madonna attempted to date Janet's brother Michael in the early 90s. In the book You Are Not Alone, Michael, Through a Brother's Eye, Michael's brother wrote that he sincerely thought Madonna adored Michael. However, the feeling wasn't mutual. When out for dinner one night, Madonna made a terrible mistake when she decided to criticize Janet. Michael was ultimately left feeling furious and never went on another date with the pop star ever again. In 1994, Janet told Vibe that she could never hate Madonna, as hate is a strong word. However, the pop star dissed her and she was mystified by it, considering the two never met in person. The feud would then become a classic example that if you have nothing to say, don't say it at all, because you never know when someone's family member might tell them what you said about them while you were enjoying a bite to eat. At number 5, we have Patti LuPone. After meeting Madonna, Patti was asked about what she thought about the movie the star was starring in. Patti then went on to describe Madonna as a movie bummer, as there's no lights behind her eyes when she's acting. Patti then went to say that Madonna can't act her way through a paper bag, before saying the pop star shouldn't be on stage or in a film. Now, Patti did say that the performer is amazing in her music career, however, she's not an actress. The actor then would shade Madonna years later after she said Madonna is Madonna, and I'll leave it at that. So it's not uncommon for actors to make a list of actors and performers they'll never want to work with or work with again. And if Patti really hated Madonna's performance as much as she said, you definitely won't see these two acting together anytime soon. At number 4, we have Mariah Carey. In 1996, Madonna would slam Mariah Carey, igniting a feud between the two stars. Madonna would say that Mariah's music wasn't art. And then later, when MTV asked Mariah how she felt about Madonna's comment, the star would go on to say that she hasn't really paid attention to her since she was in 7th or 8th grade when she used to be popular. Carrie then noted that the star no longer was popular, and that's probably why she never heard anything about the star dissing her. During an interview in 1998, Mariah would double down on her comments when she was asked about her thoughts on Madonna, and she went on to say growing up she really liked her first album and said that the album was really popular. She then went on to say the pop star did good. However, several times throughout that interview, Mariah can be seen mocking Madonna by using a fake British accent. At number 3, we have Cher. Now, Cher and Madonna are two of the biggest names in pop music history, and although the two have such a great deal in common, they have a real love-hate relationship. In 1991, Cher was loud and clear about her opinion of Madonna while in an interview with CBS. Cher would highlight the star was straight up mean and rude, and that there was something she didn't like about her. The star said that she hung out with Madonna a couple of times and she was just rude to everybody, and the star acted like a spoiled brat all the time. Cher would also state that in an interview on a talk show Wogan that Madonna was unbelievably creative because she's not unbelievably talented. She also noted that the star was not beautiful and that she was rude. Although Cher has made it clear that she isn't fond of Madonna, she's also said that she does respect her as an artist. At number 2, we have Sandra Bernhard. In the early 90s, comedian Sandra and Madonna were actually best friends. They even appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman together. However, something would then later happen and the two would end their friendship. Now, Sandra and Madonna have never really opened up to what actually happened between them for their friendship to dissolve. However, that hasn't stopped Sandra from being vocal about her evolving distaste as a person. Sandra once said on .429 that the two used to be best friends but they no longer speak anymore. The star then went on to say that she keeps her friends her whole life, but Madonna doesn't feel the same way. However, it has been said that the reason Madonna and Sandra fell out is because Madonna stole Sandra's girlfriend from her and the star felt betrayed. Now, if that is the case, Madonna broke girl codes, and I can see why Sandra would dislike her former best friend. That type of betrayal is just next level. At number 1, we have Drake. So remember when Madonna kissed Drake at Coachella, leaving us feeling queasy and uncomfortable? And what added more heat to the fire is when the cameras caught him looking shocked with a disgusted look. Now, Drake's horrified reaction to Madonna making out with him on stage would cause a media storm of allegations. Now, Drake finally did come out to reveal he actually enjoyed kissing the star by saying, "Don't misinterpret my shock. I got to make out with the Queen Madonna and I feel 100 about that and forever thank you, Madonna." TMZ would then later report that Drake's reaction was due to an unpleasant taste of Madonna's lipstick rather than the kiss itself. However, none of us really bought that. And if this was the case, I'm sure these celebrities would still be collabing together, but since this incident, they haven't. So it really makes you wonder how Drake truly feels about Madonna.
Number 10. Angelina Jolie. Despite both of these women being public advocates for a ton of different charities and organizations, when the idea of them working together came to the table, the last thing that Angie wanted to do was help Miss Winfrey out with anything. According to an insider close to Oprah, Angelina actually refused to help Oprah launch her Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. According to the source, Oprah reached out seeking celebrity sponsorship and public backing for the project, but when she reached out to Angelina, she was met with a swift nah. Oprah assumed that Angelina, of all people, would jump at the chance to represent such an incredible cause, especially considering how much she actually loved Africa. But the no was a devastation, and she would never ask for Angie's help again. A lot of people believe that the hate towards Oprah stems from her decision to publicly side with Jennifer Aniston after she split from Angie's ex Brad Pitt. So she didn't want to help launch a school for girls in another country because Oprah chose sides once. That's mature. Number 9. Jason Momoa. This man is a few things: Aquaman, the enemy of Dom Toretto, and now he's the man speaking out on Oprah and the Maui scandal. Jason Momoa is a gifted actor and overall seems like a good guy from what we can tell. And a few weeks ago, he posted a video urging tourists to steer clear of the island. Throughout the video, he asks that all those who do not live on the island year-round just stay home, remain there, we don't need you here. Many celebrities began to point out the fact that Oprah had just purchased property in Maui before the fires, and she had been making regular visits to the island. island. It was believed that he was directing his comments directly at Oprah. Now, so far neither Jason nor Oprah have actually commented on each other's positions when it comes to the Maui Fund. Jason has been vocal about his wish to contribute in assisting to the people of the island, but when he speaks about the Maui Fund, he simply refers to Dwayne Johnson, and that's about it. The two of them have paired up online to raise awareness for funds, but so far there is no mention of Oprah's name anywhere. Number 8, Rachel Ray. While Rachel was once Oprah's mentee, being a celebrity chef turned into a publishing and TV giant, in 2007, she was caught using racial slurs in reference to Oprah. Good job, Rachel. According to Hollywood insiders, Rachel had been indulging in a lot of no-no juice and food with one of her colleagues. As the night went on, she became more and more annoying, loud, and aggressive. Rachel apparently called Oprah a few things that I'm honestly not comfortable repeating, even though for some reason I'm allowed to say it on the internet, which is weird. Rachel essentially started berating Oprah for her background and skin color, believing the moment to be private. A rep for Rachel denies that this conversation ever took place. However, another source confirmed the story, adding a few other horrible sentences that I'm again not gonna repeat. Oprah never publicly called Rachel out, but she also never defended the woman, and it seems that Rachel has some kind of a grudge and blames Oprah for every single thing that's ever happened to her that's wrong. Well, it's her fault. Number 7, Chris Pine. Chris Pine is not just the go-to guy when Hollywood wants to start a new franchise. He is also a side character from time to time. Isn't that neat? In 2018, he starred alongside Oprah Winfrey and a slew of other actors in the Disney film Wrinkle in Time. While Chris and Oprah shared a minimal amount of screen time together, it may have been on purpose. Oprah is no stranger to the acting world. She got her big break in The Color Purple, but as time went on, she became better known as Oprah, the lady who gave out free cars and told people to believe in themselves. Chris does not speak all that much about Oprah, especially when it comes to his time on the project, but when he does, it's short and simple. Like, if he goes too far into detail, he may end up saying something that he's gonna regret. Oprah has yet to star in another film since, so maybe Chris Pine has more pull in Hollywood than some people think. Number 6, Tom Cruise. The moment that Tom Cruise almost destroyed Oprah's set with his enthusiasm will go down in history as the most chaotic interview to ever be recorded on this planet. In 2005, Tom got a little excited thanks to his engagement to Katie Holmes. Now, the interview consisted of jumps, flips, Tom trying to snap Oprah's wrists, and finally a Paranormal Activity style moment where Tom is running around the studio just looking for Katie. Following the interview, Tom was mocked relentlessly by both Hollywood and fellow TV hosts and personalities. As the years went by, the hate never really slowed down. The interview was never forgotten about, and Tom became a difficult man to sell in the eyes of Hollywood. He started starring in a lot more movies produced by himself. Now, I'm not saying that the interview is the main reason this guy's career is different, okay? I'm just saying that it's when we started to notice that he was crazy. He became so unhinged in 2005, and he was just chaotic from then on. He's never outright looked at the camera and said, "I hate Oprah," but his hesitancy to return in recent history is proof enough that he was just a little bit too hyped for Oprah on that day. Number 5, Ludacris. Ludacris appeared on Oprah in 2004 to promote his movie Crash. Now, he claimed that Oprah ambushed him with criticism about hip-hop lyrics instead of talking to him about the critically acclaimed movie that he was, there to talk about. Luda has since claimed that Oprah edited the show to make herself look better to the audience. He said during a separate interview that she edited out a lot of his comments while keeping most of hers in. Now, of course, it's her show, but they were doing a segment on racial discrimination, and she basically gave Luda a hard time for being a rapper when he came onto the show as an actor. Luda revealed that his interview was extremely last minute. He didn't even know he was going on that stage until about 24 hours beforehand. Now, following the interview on Oprah, she apparently pulled him aside to a green room where he claims to have been berated by her. According to Oprah, having a rapper on her show just made her feel like she was empowering them, and he said it was like being at someone's house when they didn't want you to be there, which is awkward. At that point, he had already been uncomfortable, but that was just a little cherry on top. Her main concern was, of course, his use of the N-word in lyrics, but he quickly pointed out the hypocrisy of having people like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock on the show who were famous for using that slur in their sets. Oprah's shadiness was on full display following the interview from Luda, and they will probably never work together or see each other ever again. Why would he want to be in the same room as her? That sounds very uncomfortable what he just went through. Number 4, Whoopi Goldberg. In author Kitty Kelly's unauthorized Oprah biography, biography, she claims that Whoopi Goldberg became a persona non grata, aka an unwelcome person to Oprah, after Whoopi was nominated for an Oscar for her role in The Color Purple, and Oprah wasn't. The book noted that following the honor, the comedian never appeared on Oprah's show again and was noticeably shunned from her 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Oprah invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto the show that the so-called feud they had was addressed. Now, it turns out that Oprah had actually ran into Whoopi at Tyler Perry's party sometime after the 2006 incident. Goldberg confronted Oprah, leading to an adorable but awkward moment between them. She asked Oprah why she was so mad at her, to which Oprah replied, "I thought you were mad at me, I'm not mad at you, what?" They just agreed that they should have had a phone call at some point and squashed everything, but I don't know. We have that little subconscious voice in the back of our head telling us to do stuff for a reason, right, Whoopi? Number 3, Ice Cube. Ice Cube may have gotten his career thanks to his epic music chops, both when he was a solo artist as well as during his time with the NWA. These days, you probably know him as the guy from Ride Along or the captain from 21 Jump Street. Ice Cube started acting in movies in 1991, debuting in the film Boys in the Hood as Doughboy. He continued to act over and over again, starring in movies like Friday, Anaconda, Are We There Yet?, Snakes on a Plane. He really likes animals. His dislike for Oprah comes from the fact that while he has starred in several films, he's become more well-known for those. In fact, she's never actually invited him onto the show. She has even asked his co-stars to appear rather than himself on multiple occasions. In 2006, Ice Cube expressed his frustrations, saying that his barbershop co-stars Cedric the Entertainer and Eve were invited onto the show while he was just kinda left on the sidelines. He pointed out how crazy it is that she's had all these people with dark pasts and convictions. Plus, if he wasn't a rags to riches story, who was? He was freaking Ice Cube. If you want to know anything about him, just watch Straight Outta Compton. It's a great movie and his kid plays him. So seriously, it was an incredible film, got massive success, and it was never mentioned on Oprah Winfrey's show. So that sucks. Number 2, 50 Cent. The rapper once referred to Oprah as an Oreo in January of 2006, complaining that the talk show Queen had started out with the views of a black woman but was now catering to the middle-aged white American woman for so long that she became one herself. That is a direct quote from the magazine article. 50 Cent said that. Cent even named his miniature schnauzer Oprah as a dig at the talk show host. During an episode of Oprah's The Next Chapter, Cent was invited onto the show to discuss the situation and to just kind of clear up the air. Oprah visited him at his grandmother's house for the interview, where he explained that his frustrations lied with her lack of hip-hop artists on her show, and like I said, how much she detested the use of the N-word. Now, he claimed that he had seen moments on the show when she would discuss her feelings on the rap culture and everything that was wrong with it, and it felt like a personal attack directly towards him. According to Cent, he called Oprah his enemy in the exchange, and he's never spoken to her ever again. And at number 1, Monique. The beef between comedian and actress Monique and Oprah Winfrey dates back to 2010. Monique won an Oscar for her performance in Precious in 2009. Leading up to the film's premiere, Oprah interviewed Monique's brother, Gerald, who Monique claimed to have been very physical towards her growing up in a really dark way that I'm not gonna get into, and I can't. In a since-deleted Periscope video, Monique claimed she gave Winfrey her blessing to do the interview, but was shocked and disgusted when she realized that her parents were asked to be in the audience. In the years that followed, Monique eventually forgave Oprah for creating such an uncomfortable moment for herself and her family. While forgiving Oprah, she continues to say that she would never forgive her parents for the role that they played on the show, in the moment, and of course in the past for not doing anything about the situation that was happening.
Coming in at number 10 on our list is Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow is an actress who is extremely outspoken about her reaction to the ill-fated Oscars night. After it happened, she took to Twitter to post, quote, "It was just a joke. Jokes are what Chris Rock does. Always has been edgy. This was a mild joke for him, and I love G.I. Jane. What I saw was one of Hollywood's most powerful movie stars stalking onto a stage to strike a comedian for an unfortunate joke about his gorgeous wife's shaved head. Anyone who is okay with that has probably never been hit by a powerful man. As we advise our kids, use your words." A lot of people in the comments to her post were duking it out, with some people equating alopecia to cancer, and others saying that Will Smith should be jailed for slapping Chris. My favorite reply was someone linking another tweet saying, quote, "It's actually not funny at all. Will Smith could have killed him with that slap. What if his hand had been full of bees and Chris Rock was allergic to bees and one of the bees stung Chris and nobody had an EpiPen? Not funny now, is it?" Next up is Howard Stern, who had a whole show planned before he decided to scrap it all and focus on the Oscars incident instead. Quote, "Well, I had a whole show planned, but I gotta throw that out because I want to vent about this Oscars thing that occurred. The blunt reporter certainly held held nothing back and did in fact vent quite readily about the whole situation. Quote, "This is a sign of great mental illness when you can't control your impulse. Not only that, it was hardly an insulting joke. It wasn't even a good joke." It may be safe to say that Howard Stern wasn't too fond of Will Smith after the headline made the incident. He even compared Will to former US President Donald Trump. He also criticized the Academy's handling of the situation, including the lack of security taking action. While there have been mixed reports on whether or not Will Smith was asked to leave the ceremony following the slap, the star still went onto stage to collect his award for Best Actor mere moments later. Howard Stern was upset that no one seemed to care and even cheered for him once he won the award. Quote, "Will Smith harmed another human being, and you guys did nothing." Another celebrity who will definitely never work with Will Smith is Judd Apatow. Probably the most embarrassing set of tweets to come out of the whole Oscars slap situation were Judd Apatow's, which are since deleted. Although he was one of the first people to call out Will Smith for his behavior, some think that he took it way too far. Judd wrote on Twitter, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out of control rage and aggression." After he received pushback for the tweet, the 40-year-old Virgin director elaborated his viewpoints on the SiriusXM pop culture spotlight. He admitted that he wasn't actually watching the Oscars when he took to Twitter, but was instead informed of the incident while on the phone with a friend. That being said, he did stick by his statements about Will Smith in other interviews. Quote, "As soon as that line is crossed, really anything can happen. That's what happened, but something else could have happened too." Judd also told Pop Culture Spotlight, quote, "I just think there certainly is a way of handling dissatisfaction. We should never tell people that the solution is to break that barrier and leap on the stage and commit an act of harm in front of people who are inspired by you." Coming in at number 7, Rosie O'Donnell. Not unlike Howard Stern's take, Rosie O'Donnell also had a problem with how the Academy Award organizers handled the situation. Clearly, Rosie was signing off to Team Chris Rock when she tweeted out, quote, "So upsetting on every level. Bravo to Chris Rock for not eviscerating Will Smith, which he could do any day of the week. He walked away. Bravo from a sad display of toxic masculinity from a narcissistic madman. If only they would take it into the ring, then we could truly see who is eviscerating who." In addition to making it clear that she believed Chris Rock could demolish Smith in, I guess, a battle of comedic minds, Rosie also heavily criticized the Academy for their initial response to the entire situation. In a separate tweet written in response to a statement released by the organization about not condoning violence, she asked, quote, "Then why did you do nothing?" O'Donnell didn't stop there. She also spent quite a bit of time retweeting messages from her friends and other Twitter users that all condemn Will Smith's actions and praise Chris Rock for not acting in retaliation. Kathy Griffin is up next as someone who likely won't work with Will Smith based on how she reacted to the Oscars, having very clearly sided with Chris Rock in this situation. She tweeted out, quote, "Let me tell you something. It's a very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically harm a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters." It's perhaps extremely unsurprising that Griffin, who herself loves to push the boundaries of comedy, would side with Chris Rock in this situation and be more concerned about the safety of comedians after seeing Chris Rock get slapped over a joke. Given her own controversies of inciting violence against former President Donald Trump that landed her in trouble with the Secret Service, we weren't surprised to see that she got some pushback from her tweets about being kind to one another. Next up is comedian Jim Carrey. It's unlikely any comedian in general will side with Will Smith, considering the precedents it sets. But while touring for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Jim Carrey was asked about his reaction to Will Smith getting on stage and hitting Chris. The comedian had this to say, quote, "I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless en masse. And it really felt like this is a real clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. That insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience or disapprove or show disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words." Next up is Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. He has always been extremely outspoken on Twitter, and the Oscar slap incident was no exception. The night of the incident, he tweeted, quote, "Stand-up comics are very adept at handling hecklers. Physical harm, not so much." Okay, I abbreviated this because I'm not allowed to say a lot of words due to our feudal lords at YouTube, but you get the idea. The tweet left a heated debate in the comments, with one user writing, quote, "Chris Rock was wrong. Mocking Jada's medical condition, especially on stage in front of hundreds of people, is despicable. I don't blame Will for getting upset or for doing what he did." While another user wrote, quote, "You can't just harm people. Even if someone says something Part of being an adult is understanding that you can't just hit people. I like Will Smith and I have compassion for his wife, but he was wrong to hit Chris Rock. Coming in at number 3 is Janet Hubert. Janet Hubert has had beef with Will Smith that predates the Oscars, thank God, all the way back to the 90s when she worked alongside him in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She played Aunt Viv for 3 seasons before their beef led to her being replaced in 1993. She told HuffPost decades later, quote, "My departure was planned for a long time. There will never be a reunion for The Fresh Prince. Will Smith and Alfonso destroyed a 20-year career with untruths. I got slammed. Will apologized later in an Essence magazine article, but it still lingers. It's still there." Apparently, the beef started when Smith refused to vouch for Hubert when she wanted a pay raise and a contract renegotiation. Meanwhile, tons of rumors circulated that she was notoriously extremely difficult to work with, which derailed her career and she never really recovered from it. That being said, they did have a tentative truce when Will invited her onto the Fresh Prince reunion that she earlier said would never happen. Although I doubt she'd go through filming anything with him again. Next up is Chris Rock's brother, Tony Rock. Absolutely no surprise that he comes to his siblings' defense. Airing his frustrations on a stand-up set a few days after the Oscar slap incident, Tony stated, quote, "If you think you're gonna walk up on this stage, this ain't the Oscars. And if you walk your ass up here, you ain't nominated for with these hands." As the crowd cheered, Tony took it a step further, adding, quote, "I didn't want to start the show like that. You're gonna hit my brother." Tony also made it clear on Twitter after Will Smith apologized to Chris that he does not accept the apology on his brother's behalf by stating, quote, "No," when asked if he forgave him. Last but certainly not least is Chris Rock, who was the recipient of the slap in question. Interestingly, he said absolutely nothing about the slap and has kept extremely quiet. He's currently on tour and has made zero mention of the incident, although I'm sure he could have gotten away with a few digs considering that most people took his side.
In at number 10, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne played Ruthie Spivey in the television series My Own Worst Enemy back in 2008 and Tansy Hendrickson in the 4th season of Big Love in 2010. However, she began gaining prominence for her role as Cece Jones in the Disney Channel series Shake It Up, which she was a part of from 2010 to 2013. Although Bella admits herself that she never wanted to be a Disney star. During an episode of the MTV podcast Happy, Sad, Confused, Thorne admitted that she didn't want to audition even, but she felt she needed to because her family was close to homelessness. While that may seem like a very nice thing for her to do, she maintained this attitude of not wanting to be there. She would repeatedly tell the director that she doesn't know why she's there, and people would just laugh about it, thinking that she was just joking around, I guess. In reality, she hated being there the whole time. Makes it very difficult to work with if someone doesn't like what they're doing. In at number 9, Orlando Brown. While at the 2018 Radio Disney Music Awards, Raven-Symoné was asked about Orlando Brown's new tattoo, which just so happened to be, well, Raven's face. Here's what she had to say.
Yeah, what do you make of that? I make of the second season of That's So Raven will be coming out July 25th. Bye!
Looks like they haven't really been keeping in touch following their time with Disney. Orlando was a child actor on many sitcoms, but is best known for his role as Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven. However, it became evident how difficult he is to work with when Disney reprised the show under its new name, Raven's Home. While her and Annalise Vanderpool came back, Orlando was noticeably missing from the reunion. The main reason why they couldn't have him back is due to his non-Disney-like behavior. Brown made headlines after he was arrested for public intoxication and disturbing the peace after he threatened to kill a woman. Not exactly the best person to be working with after that. In at number 8, Lalaine Vergara. Lalaine is best known for her role as Miranda Sanchez on Lizzie McGuire, and after she tried to pursue a music career, she sort of fell into obscurity. She had filmed with the show from 2001 to 2004, but by 2007, people started to find out who she really is. In July of 2007, Lalaine was arrested and charged with felony possession of methamphetamines. She pleaded guilty to the charge, and a $50,000 bench warrant was set after she failed to appear in court for her hearings. And according to Lalaine, she had some serious beef with her fellow actors as she was the only one deemed to be too ethnic. They actually told her to look as white as possible, which undoubtedly caused some tension between her and everyone else on the show. When a Lizzie McGuire reboot was in the works, they confirmed every character returning, but Lalaine was left out of the conversation. In at number 7, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato had been a Disney kid for a long time. She appeared on Barney and Friends from 2002 to 2004. However, between 2007 to 2008, Lovato played Charlotte Adams on the Disney Channel short series As the Bell Rings. She then auditioned for the channel's television film Camp Rock and new TV series Sunny with a Chance, for which she landed both roles. Now, to Demi's defense, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and struggled a lot with finding body confidence. So needless to say, she could be a bit of a nightmare on set, but it was primarily due to the pressures of maintaining this presence while on top after all of this early success with Disney. During an interview with Refinery 29, Demi said, "Prior to getting sober, I was one of those people who was like, I don't give a whatever. and I used that as an excuse to do whatever I wanted. I was a nightmare to work with. Well, at least she admits it herself. In at number 6, Zac Efron. Zac Efron first rose to prominence when he landed the lead role of Troy Bolton in Disney's High School Musical. From there, he basically became a teen heartthrob and at the center of attention in Hollywood. Zac told The Hollywood Reporter that he started drinking a lot and got deeply involved with hard drugs. His excuse was that he was in his 20s, single, and going through life in Hollywood, and everything felt like it was just being thrown at him. Apparently, while filming the movie Neighbors with Seth Rogen, his drug habits started to spiral out of control. They even needed to halt filming while he checked himself into rehab for a cocaine addiction. And then on top of that, his reckless behavior extended further than just his substance abuse behind the scenes. According to TMZ, Zac got himself into a violent altercation with a homeless man on Skid Row in Los Angeles, which resulted in him getting punched in the mouth right before the police finally separated them. A source told TMZ that Zac was obviously intoxicated and willingly engaged in mutual combat with this homeless guy. Yeah, that's not stable behavior for an actor that you want to work with. Definitely not for Disney. In at number 5, Shia LaBeouf. Most people will recognize Shia LaBeouf from his time with the Transformers franchise, but I'll always know him as just Louis Stevens in the Disney Channel series Even Stevens, a role for which he received a Young Artist Award nomination in 2001 and won a Daytime Emmy Award in 2003. Although Shia LaBeouf's career would soon take a tumultuous turn. In 2017 alone, the actor was sued for $5 million by a bartender. He was arrested in Savannah, Georgia for public intoxication, and he was ordered to attend a 10-week rehab program. Although Shia has done his best to shed all these rumors surrounding him about being difficult to work with. I mean, while working on the set of Fury, he received a ton of praise from his fellow actors. Brad Pitt even paid him a huge compliment during his interview with GQ magazine. Brad told the magazine, "Oh, I love this boy. He's one of the best actors I've ever seen. He's full-on commitment, man. He's living it like no one else. Let me tell you, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of great actors, and he's one of the best I've ever seen." I wish I could have done that in a Brad Pitt voice. We'll get there. In at number 4, Jake T. Austin. Beginning his career as a child actor at the age of 7, Austin is a 5-time Young Artist Award nominee, 2-time Teen Choice Award nominee, and Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award nominee. He's best known though for his role as Max Russo on the Disney Channel series Wizards of Waverly Place. Jake attributes a lot of his bad behavior to the tough transition of moving from child actor to an evolved adult star. While at the Teen Choice Awards, apparently Austin threw a giant temper tantrum backstage after a staff member didn't recognize him. According to TMZ and multiple eyewitness accounts, he became infuriated by this and started throwing empty shoeboxes at a female staff member. But then he said this next year.
This has been the summer of kick-ass women.
In at number 3, Ashley Tisdale. During her childhood, Tisdale was featured in over 100 advertisements and had minor roles in television and theater. She also achieved mainstream success as Maddie Fitzpatrick in the Disney Channel series The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Her success was heightened even further when she starred as Sharpay Evans in the High School Musical film series from 2006 to 2008. Tisdale even admitted herself that she was very difficult to work with during her time on High School Musical. During a chat with Andy Cohen, she said that her and Lucas, who played her on-screen brother, didn't get along at first. She told the host that they didn't get along at first because when they were screen testing, she was only giving him just like regular line readings, so not really being in the character. Then when he asked her to, method act to get themselves into character, she noticed that her attitude was creeping a little too closely to that of her character Sharpay. She went on to say, "I do think I became a lot like the character, and I think he thought I was really like Sharpay, and it wasn't until we wrapped that he was like, oh, you're not that person." Or is she? In at number 2, Jake Paul. Jake is far from his Disney acting days now, but according to reports, he wasn't the easiest person to work with. Aside from Vine, he really rose to prominence for playing the role of Dork Man on the Disney Channel series Bizaardvark. Although Jake was unceremoniously dropped from the show before the start of the second season, and his exit was listed as effective immediately. Paul had been making local headlines in Los Angeles after complaints that he had been getting from his neighbors over alleged partying and pranks at his West Hollywood rental house. He was then featured in a KTLA news report after he started climbing up on her news van during a live broadcast.
Can we do it by the truck?
Yeah.
In a minute. Yeah.
Let's go by the truck.
Whoa! I wouldn't crawl up there. Why? Okay. I just wouldn't do that.
I want to do the interview here.
Yeah, can't do that.
A spokesperson from the Disney Channel refused to comment as to why they dropped him, but explained that it was a mutual departure and that they wished him all the best. Probably had a lot to do with those news segments. I'm gonna go with the news segments. Last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, Miley Cyrus. Arguably one of the most successful child stars of her generation, Miley has had a rise and fall like nobody else. She became a teen idol as the title character of the Disney Channel television series Hannah Montana, which ultimately led to her becoming a very successful recording artist as well. Although all of that fame and being the daughter of a rock star aren't necessarily great for one's ego. She started to perform as both Hannah Montana and herself, which really did a number on her psyche and led to her becoming sort of a double diva. In her book titled Miles to Go, Miley reflected on her time working with co-star Emily Osment on the show and said that when the camera stopped rolling, they didn't really get along. Miley writes, "The show felt real to me and I wanted my relationship with Lily to feel real too. I knew it didn't have to, show business is show business, but I was disappointed. There were times when I didn't think we could ever be friends. We just couldn't figure out how to get along. Probably because you're a diva. Just guessing."
Number 10, Tom Cruise. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise may seem like they have a lot in common at first glance, but they couldn't be more at odds with each other. Yet, allegedly, they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started in 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror movie where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another, and even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable during the entire filming, and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake, whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in the very successful Inglourious Bastards and Tom Cruise in Valkyrie, which was a critical flop. So much so that Brad even called Valkyrie a ridiculous movie, which goes to show you that the rivalry was still there. Number 9, Marion Cotillard. In 2016, Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard were co-stars in a film called Allied, which is a Second World War romantic drama where Brad played Max, a handsome intelligence agent who has an affair with a French resistance fighter called Marianne. As good as the film might have been, it was certainly overshadowed by the rumors that plagued the set, in particular the closeness between Brad and his leading lady. In fact, a source close to Brad and Angelina at the time claimed that the actress was so jealous of Marion that she refused to meet with the French star after meeting her on the set of the film, telling the Daily Mail, quote, "Angelina completely ignored Marion on the set, and when Marion tried to talk to her, she just looked away. Marion was devastated. Here she is thinking she's going to meet this great UN ambassador, and instead Angelina refuses to speak to the woman because of her own jealousy." In fact, Angelina reportedly hired a private investigator to watch the two actors on set and scout out a possible affair. And although none of this was Marion's fault, it's unlikely that Brad, who's now dating again, would work with the French actress again, considering how much scandal it brought to his own marriage with Angelina. Number 8, Harrison Ford. Ford and Pitt both starred in 1997's The Devil's Own, which had reportedly faced endless problems during production. One of the biggest being that allegedly the two leads didn't get along. Conflict off the screen erupted when Pitt told Newsweek magazine that the film was, quote, "the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, if you can call it that I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it." Reports surfaced that the two co-stars disagreed on which character should be at the center of the film, but the alleged feud between Ford and Pitt may have just been an argument over the script, as Larry Gordon, the producer of Devil's Own, came out saying, "I never saw two men not getting along. The discussions were over the script, and every movie is a work in progress." And even Indiana Jones star himself didn't seem too upset by the comments, and even suggested that Brad simply went on a rant about the film and didn't realize that he was going to be quoted throwing it under the bus. But Ford made it clear that the only thing he didn't appreciate was the fact that people were asking more questions about the working relationship between the two actors rather than the film itself. Number 7, Shia LaBeouf. Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf starred in the 2014 war film Fury. While the movie received glowing reviews from both critics and fans, reportedly the two actors didn't get along when filming the gritty action film. Shia LaBeouf has a reputation in Hollywood as being extremely difficult to work with, and that was true with Fury as well. Reportedly, Shia was so committed to doing justice to the character of Boyd Swan that he had his front tooth removed and went for days without bathing or showering. Additionally, reports claim that Shia didn't believe that the makeup used for his facial scarring was realistic enough, so he actually cut his own face to make his war wounds look more realistic, and then during filming he would occasionally open the wounds to keep them looking more fresh and authentic. It's clear that he was determined to make an impression, but this allegedly rubbed Brad Pitt the wrong way, and according to Ranker, Pitt was disappointed by Shia's energy on set of their film and believed that the two of them have very different styles of working and it just wasn't mixing well on a personal level, as he allegedly felt uncomfortable seeing how much torture Shia would would put himself through just to get results. Number 6, Jennifer Aniston. The story that dominated the tabloids in the 2000s was just as scandalous as it was made out to be. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is that Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Brad famously embarked on a jet-setting romance with her despite the fact that he was still married to Jennifer. Although all parties denied that there was infidelity involved, Angelina couldn't help but gush to the papers about her new romance, and Jennifer told Vogue in 2008 that she had in fact read some of those interviews, and according to her, quote, "There was stuff printed in there that was definitely from a time when I was unaware that it was happening, and I felt those details were a little inappropriate to discuss." That stuff about how she couldn't wait to get to work every day. Not cool. Although they might be on good terms now, there's certainly a reason that Brad avoided having Jennifer in any of his films, and it probably has a lot to do with their past. Number 5, Mark Canton. Harrison Ford wasn't the only person that Brad Pitt bumped heads with during the filming of 1997's The Devil's Own. In fact, not long after the filming wrapped, news also surfaced that Pitt had wanted out of the film that he felt was doomed. But it was Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, that threatened him with a $63 million lawsuit if he went through with the walkout. So of course Pitt was kind of trapped, but he let his frustration out in that controversial interview in Newsweek magazine ahead of the film's release. Apart from calling the movie the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, he said, quote, "I don't know why anyone would want to continue making that movie. We had nothing. The movie was the complete victim of this drowning studio head who said, 'I don't care, we're making it. I don't care what you have, shoot something.' If that wasn't enough, Pitt even said that they had no script, and it was a lot of pressure on himself and Harrison Ford just to make it all up as they went along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place." Number 4, Odile Soudant. The famous French designer who was once a friend or acquaintance of Brad Pitt's ended up suing the couple in 2017 over the lighting in their Chateau Miraval home. The Guardian reported that Soudant claimed that the former couple simply stopped paying for her work that she did on 4 buildings of their 40-room mansion in France, while the designer insisted that she had no written contract specifically with Pitt or Jolie. She claims that he gave her the green light to do whatever she wanted in order to make their home beautiful. She took him literally at his word and hired architects, designers, lighting and acoustic specialists, and even an optical engineer to calculate the angle of the sun's rays on the chateau. The trouble started growing when Soudant noticed that Pitt and Jolie stopped paying for her estimated $29 million project after her billings reached approximately $6 million, and Pitt emailed her saying, "I don't know how things happen in France, but in the United States, friends don't attack friends. I've been nothing but a fan of your work. Do not attack. Let's finish the project and be proud of it." But by August of 2017, the former couple were ordered to pay her roughly $674,000, including about $71,000 for damaging her reputation. Number 3, Michael Madsen. In 1991, Pitt and Michael Madsen both appeared in the 90s feminist classic Thelma and Louise, and right away the two seemed to butt heads in a major way, and Madsen made no secret of how much he dislikes Pitt, but the beef between the actors goes way deeper than just trouble on the set of the film. In fact, they have both worked with along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place. Number 2, Mark Forster. The fact that World War Z managed to do okay at the box office is literally a miracle when you consider how massive the feud was between its star Brad Pitt and its director Mark Forster, making it one of the most infamously troubled shoots of any blockbuster from the last decade. Pitt starred as a UN worker, Jerry Lane, who searches the globe for information that can stop the zombie outbreak that is bringing down nations. But on the set was total chaos. Vulture reported that Pitt eventually stopped speaking altogether to Forster, and that the director's notes for him were being given through a rotation of 3 different production members. That's right, they hated each other so much that they couldn't even speak to each other face to face. But the situation was further complicated by Pitt's status as a producer, giving him authority to challenge Forster's creative calls and causing the post-production process to be dragged out by their conflicting visions. And when the studio chiefs ordered reshoots of the film, the apparent breakdown in the duo's relationship just made that progress extremely problematic. And coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie. They were once Hollywood's glittering power couple, but for the last 5.5 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have been very publicly airing out their dirty laundry in one of the messiest and most expensive divorce battles of all time. It was a shock to the world when the Tomb Raider actress actress Angelina Jolie filed for divorce from Pitt in September of 2016, just 2 years after they wed and 12 years into their partnership. Citing irreconcilable differences, Angelina requested sole physical custody of their 6 children, and the following month, she made a threat to take the children abroad despite a renegotiated custody agreement. The actress even took a swipe at him in Harper's Bazaar, saying, "I would love to live abroad and will do so as soon as my children are 18, but right now I'm having to base where their father chooses to live." In fact, it was recently reported that Brad is suing Angelina for allegedly secretly selling the couple's $116 million winery just to spite him. Although the once golden couple worked together on the iconic spy movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's unlikely these two will ever share the big screen ever again.